At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Jason, an out-of-work engineer who spends his early mornings alone at the edge of a pier, rod in hand, waiting for a bite that never seems to come. After days of nothing, he finally hooks something, but it's small, barely worth keeping, so he tosses it back and watches the sky instead. Dark clouds are rolling in fast. Jason doesn't wait around to find out how bad it'll get. He packs up and heads home, and that decision, as ordinary as it seems, is about to change his family's life forever. By the time he reaches his neighborhood, the rain has already started, and everyone on the street is scrambling for their front doors like the sky itself is chasing them. Jason pulls up to his own house and hits the garage remote. Nothing happens. The door won't budge. Left with no choice, he leaves his car sitting outside in the rain and heads in through the front. Inside, we get our first real look at what life has become for this family. An aging dog named Cassidy greets him at the door, tail wagging despite his stiff joints. On the counter, a stack of mail sits untouched, and every single envelope is from a debt collector. It's a quiet, but heavy detail. Jason hasn't had a job in a while, and the pressure of that failure is already sitting in the room before anyone says a word. Trying to salvage the morning, Jason surprises his wife Anne with a box of donuts. Their kids, Graham and Ruth, come bounding in immediately, more interested in screen time than breakfast. But when they reach for the tablet, there's no signal, no internet, nothing. Jason jokes that the house is falling apart around them, and he's more right than he realizes. Anne shows him something she'd been sitting on, an email from a contractor who reviewed photos of their foundation and delivered devastating news. Their house isn't just old or settling, it's sinking. And somehow, impossibly, the only thing keeping the entire structure from collapsing is the chimney. That unsettling revelation gets pushed aside for a moment as the family gets ready for a simple, cheerful errand, picking out their Christmas tree. But when they go to leave, the front door won't open. Not stuck, not jammed. Sealed, like it was never meant to open again. They rush to the back door. Same result. Windows, side doors, every possible exit. Nothing gives. Panic creeps in as they realize their phones have no signal and the internet is still down. They are, in every sense of the word, trapped. What follows is one of the most chilling stretches of the film. Jason throws his entire body against the front door. Nothing. He starts pounding on the windows, and though they crack under the force, they refuse to shatter. Looking outside in disbelief, the family notices something even more disturbing. Their neighbors are flashing a mirror at them, trying to get their attention, clearly desperate. They're not alone in this. Entire households up and down the block are sealed inside their own homes. Then they spot Susan, a neighbor, sprinting down the street in a panic. The family tries to flag her down, but she can't hear them through the glass. When she reaches her own house, she discovers she can't get inside. And worse, her husband is stuck within it, unreachable. With no way to help him, she takes off again, desperate to find someone, anyone, who can make sense of what's happening. As the hours crawl by, the family tries anything to pass the time and stay sane. Jason grabs tools and attacks the garage door directly. It doesn't move an inch. Talk turns to their neighbors, and someone remembers that one family nearby actually owns a boat. Through a window across the street, a couple who apparently only met the night before scrawls a message on the glass admitting they're stuck together. A strange, almost darkly comic moment in the middle of the horror. Meanwhile, another neighboring family, the Richardsons, start writing messages on a whiteboard pressed to their window. Jason grabs his kid's drawing board and starts writing back. The theories start flying. The Richardsons are convinced this is some kind of government lockdown, done for everyone's protection. The boat owner insists it's aliens. Nobody knows if this is happening only on their street, across the whole city, or everywhere on Earth. That night, while tucking his daughter Ruth into bed, Jason listens as she offers her own theory. She thinks the rain itself is responsible, because it just looks wrong to her, different from any rain she's seen before. It's a small moment, but it plants a seed that will matter far more later. When Jason finally lies down next to Anne, she breaks down, admitting she's right on the edge of losing it completely. Jason tries to reassure her that they'll get through this, and then drops a bombshell of his own. There's a gun hidden in their closet, one he never told her about. Anne is stunned, but fear outweighs anger, and instead of arguing, she asks him to show her how to use it. Unable to sleep, Jason spends the night obsessed with the garage door, trying every remote combination he can think of. The only thing he manages to open is the trunk of his car. Frustrated, he grabs a drill and starts boring holes into the front door, hoping to find some kind of weakness. What he sees next stops him cold. Water on the other side of the door actually moves to seal each hole shut, almost like it's alive, like it's making a decision. He starts testing walls and floors too, and every single time, the result is identical. Some kind of liquid barrier reacting to seal every breach. Whatever is doing this, Jason starts to suspect it isn't a man-made disaster at all. Strange sounds echo down the chimney, but when he checks inside, there's nothing there. Morning comes, and the rain hasn't stopped. The house is still sealed tight. With no idea when, or if, this will end, the family sits down and makes hard decisions. Chores and hygiene become mandatory. Food gets rationed to stretch for roughly 2 months. Water, gas, and electricity all have to be used sparingly, because no one knows how long they'll actually last. Even Cassidy has to be retrained to relieve himself indoors, since going outside is no longer an option. By day 4, Jason tries setting up a makeshift homeschool routine, but the kids clearly aren't interested. Instead, he pivots to something more useful, teaching them survival skills, starting with how to clean and gut a fish. Since they have no actual fish, they practice on dolls instead, and somehow it becomes one of the only genuinely fun moments the family shares. In the process, the kids learn something new about their father. He once owned a boat of his own, sold off before they were even born. That afternoon, Jason and the Richardsons set up a kind of long-distance game of telephone through their whiteboards, trying to figure out just how widespread this event really is. By day 7, the electricity starts flickering for the first time. A small but ominous warning sign. The family saves whatever vegetable scraps and seeds they can, hoping to eventually grow their own food. Through the whiteboard messages, Jason learns the disaster stretches across at least 5 blocks. But the news isn't all informational. The Richardsons reveal they're already completely out of food, and there's nothing Jason can do to help them from where he's standing. By day 14, Ruth has become fixated on drawing the storm, and her drawings are unsettling. Strange humanoid figures moving through the rain, faces hidden inside individual raindrops. While staring out the window one afternoon, she spots a shadow moving down the street, but gets distracted watching the rain trace patterns against the glass. When she looks back up, whatever she saw is gone. As the days blur together, the family fights to maintain some sense of normal life. Dancing in the living room, exercising, watching the same handful of movies over and over, racing each other through the halls, playing cards, reading whatever books they have. Their small indoor garden is thriving. Jason finally burns the pile of old debt letters, a quiet symbolic release. For the holidays, they cobble together a makeshift Christmas tree out of whatever random objects they can find around the house. By day 30, Ruth announces that the Rainwalker has returned. She claims this figure visits every time it rains. Her older brother Graham dismisses it completely, but when he actually looks outside, he too sees a shadow lurking on the street. Rattled, he insists it must just be some kind of animal, refusing to consider anything stranger. That night at dinner, the kids complain about eating the same ration meals night after night. Ruth insists again that the being she saw outside was trying to communicate with her, that it felt friendly, not threatening. Her parents brush it off as imagination. When she gets visibly upset, Jason snaps at her, immediately regrets it, and tries to smooth things over with homemade cookies. They come out tasting terrible. They haven't had sugar in weeks. Later that night, after the kids are asleep, Jason and Anne share a cigarette and settle in for yet another rewatch of the same movie. Anne, exhausted by the repetition, suggests they do something different instead. They end up lying by the garden door, staring up at the stars. That's when they spot something unexpected moving through their backyard. A wolf. The next morning brings a bittersweet Christmas. The family exchanges gifts made from whatever scraps and household items they could scavenge. Nothing store-bought, but enough to keep some holiday spirit alive. Then Ruth glances out the window and witnesses something horrifying. Mrs. Richardson collapsing in her own home. Jason immediately pulls the kids away from the window, but not before catching a glimpse of Mr. Richardson rushing to his wife's side, only to discover she's already dead. That same afternoon, Jason gives Cassidy the very last of his medication, quietly aware of what that means for their future. Then comes one of the film's most terrifying sequences. In the dead of night, Ruth sneaks out to the living room to grab a toy, unaware that something is moving just outside the window behind her. A sudden noise makes her spin around, and pressed against the glass is Susan, bloodied, clutching a knife, screaming for help. Ruth's scream wakes the entire household. Susan slams her fists against the door and windows, begging to be let in, repeating over and over that everyone outside is dead, and warning the family, with terrifying urgency, to never let themselves be seen. She insists no help is coming. Then, without warning, something unseen drags a screaming Susan away into the darkness, and the family watches in horror as multiple creatures move down the street outside. A blinding flash of light erupts, and when it fades, both Susan and the creatures have vanished completely. Shaken, Jason looks over Ruth's old drawings again. She insists, even now, that the creature she saw looked kind, not cruel. Jason firmly tells her these things are not friendly, and from this point forward, no one is allowed near the windows. Period. That night, for the first time, the whole family sleeps together in one room. Sometime later, Jason looks outside and realizes Mr. Richardson has died as well. Another house nearby posts a sign in the window admitting they've run out of medicine. The one-night stand couple from earlier is now constantly fighting, the strain of confinement clearly wearing them down. Meanwhile, the kids try to keep their bodies active. Graham sticks to running in place, while Ruth practices aerial silk routines hanging from the ceiling. During one of these sessions, the chimney cap suddenly falls, and Ruth volunteers to climb up and check if there's any possible way out. With the rest of the family gripping the silk to keep her secure, she climbs while the walls groan and crack around her. At the top, the pipe is too narrow for her to fully pass through, but she is able to push her hand out into open air, proving, at least, that the chimney isn't completely sealed like everything else. Right after she's brought safely back down, the family hears Cassidy crying out in pain. His medicine has run out, and he's suffering. To spare the kids from what has to happen next, Jason cranks up the TV volume and sends them off to watch a movie, while he takes Cassidy into the garage and puts him down himself. Afterward, Anne suggests cremating Cassidy's body through the chimney, but Jason has a different, far darker plan. He decides to preserve the body in the freezer, just in case things get bad enough that they need the meat to survive. He processes the body methodically, freezing the flesh and setting aside the organs in a separate bag. He almost throws the organ bag in the trash, but spotting the wolf outside in the yard, he decides instead to toss it out through the chimney. The wolf approaches eagerly, but before it can eat, the rain starts again and it flees. As the weeks stretch into what feels like forever, the family develops a strict routine. Curtains close the moment it starts raining, everyone staying well clear of any window. One day, Ruth realizes she's left one of her drawings sitting on a windowsill and rushes to retrieve it, accidentally drawing the attention of a creature that begins pounding on the glass right where she's standing. The entire family freezes in place as the monster's growl echoes through the house. Thankfully, it eventually moves on. 3 months in, the flickering lights grow worse, and the pantry is nearly bare. Ruth, starving and desperate, tries to get into the fridge, only for Anne to snap and pull her back. Jason intervenes, letting her see for herself. The fridge is completely empty. So are the cupboards. Ruth slams the door shut and storms off. The accumulated stress finally breaks Anne, who collapses on the spot. Graham bolts to his room in tears, while Ruth cries alone on her bed. In a moment of quiet despair, Jason promises they'll survive this, while privately fearing he's about to watch his children starve to death in front of him. Then Graham returns, holding his own pet fish, which he has, on his own, gutted and prepared to eat. Ruth joins her brother, and the two hold each other for comfort. Outside, Jason notices the wolf has finally found and eaten Cassidy's discarded organs, and it sparks an idea. If animals can get close enough to eat from the yard, maybe they can be caught. Jason builds a crude trap using spare parts, including an old skateboard, and lowers a piece of dog meat through the chimney as bait. A fox takes the bait, but manages to escape before the trap fully closes. Jason tweaks the design, and next time, the trap successfully catches the fox. But as they try to reel it in, the line snaps under the weight, and the fox bolts free. He adjusts again, this time using scavenged car parts to build a proper small cage, baited with vegetables instead of meat. A squirrel takes the bait, and being far lighter, the family is able to successfully haul it up through the chimney. Finally, real meat. From there, Jason converts part of the living room floor into growing soil for an indoor garden, and over time becomes increasingly skilled at trapping small wildlife. Birds, rabbits, whatever comes near enough. Eventually, the power to the entire neighborhood cuts out completely, forcing the family to adjust to life by candlelight. 5 years pass. Graham and Ruth are now teenagers. Every single neighboring family has died. Graham has taught himself to play piano with real skill. The garden has completely overtaken the living room. Jason has built a working water purifier and automated his trapping systems. Outside, plants have overrun the entire neighborhood, and wild animals now roam freely through what used to be a quiet suburban street. One day, Anne notices the house is deteriorating faster than ever, and theorizes something disturbing. Whatever force is sealing them in might also be the same thing holding the crumbling structure together, meaning the house could eventually sink entirely. In the garage, Jason proudly reveals he's repaired the family car. Graham dismisses it as pointless, sparking a sharp rebuke from his father, who insists they need projects and functioning tools for the day the rain finally stops. Frustrated, Graham storms off. Anne later confronts Jason, pointing out that the kid's worsening attitudes stem from never having had anything close to a normal childhood, and tells him bluntly that he needs to start being a father again, not just their protector. She also quietly admits how much she still misses their old life. Later, Jason scolds Ruth for continuing to hang her drawings in the attic window, worried it could expose them to whatever's outside. The argument is cut short when they spot a creature right outside their door. As the family scrambles to hide, something changes. Water begins seeping in through the gap beneath the front door, and impossibly, it moves the doorknob itself, unlocking the house for the first time in 5 years. The creature enters, hunting for them, leaving behind a strange residue that instantly contaminates their water supply. Ruth, worried about the garden, tries to reach the sprinkler system to shut it off, but the movement draws the creature's attention, and she's forced to hide again. It gets frighteningly close, its limbs piercing straight through the floorboards near where she's crouched, but somehow it never finds her. The residue continues destroying the garden, and drops even land on Ruth's face. Suddenly, noise outside draws more creatures toward the window, and the one inside the house abandons its search to join them. With the door briefly open, Graham makes a desperate run for it, but Jason stops him just before the creatures spot him, and the door seals shut once again. It's only afterward that Ruth realizes something important. The substance on her face isn't some monstrous secretion at all. It's simply seawater. Jason notices the rain outside has finally stopped, and rushes to the door, but it's already sealed again. Digging through an old book on maritime folklore, Ruth reaches a startling conclusion. These aren't aliens at all. They're creatures from the ocean, and this, impossibly, might actually be their world now. Jason firmly reminds her that no matter what's happened, this house is still their home. The family confirms the worst. Their entire garden is dead, and their water is now unsafe. Jason, in a moment of dark optimism, suggests they can simply start over, but Anne pushes back hard, insisting he needs to face how dire their situation actually is. Their argument is interrupted when the trap outside successfully catches a ferret. As Ruth goes to grab it, the frightened animal bites down hard on her hand and scrambles away. Her scream brings her parents running, terrified she's now facing infection. Furious, Jason kills the ferret on the spot. By evening, Ruth is burning with fever, too weak to leave her bed. The family gives her the last of their clean water, but it's clear she needs actual medicine, something they don't have. In a moment of pure desperation, Jason gets behind the wheel and repeatedly rams the car straight into the garage door, hoping brute force will finally break them free. It doesn't work. The car is destroyed in the crash, and Jason hits his head hard enough to leave him dazed. The rest of the family rushes to pull him out, and as he collapses, he notices something he'd missed before. Cracks spreading across the floor. That discovery snaps him back into focus. Grabbing tools, he tests the depth of the cracks, then sprints through the house, checking every wall and floor for more. They're deepening. The entire structure is shifting, and that shift might be their first real opportunity in years. In the bathroom, he tears up the tile and uncovers a pipe leading directly into the sewer system, one that should connect to the Richardsons' old house next door. It's a long shot, but the Richardsons' house should still have medical supplies, since Mr. Richardson had been a dentist. The pipe is far too narrow for Jason to fit through, so Anne volunteers instead, arming herself with a flashlight and a small camera so the family can guide her from the surface. She pushes through the tight, flooded sewer line until she hits a dead-end wall. Fortunately, it's loose enough to break through, and she forces her way past it into what remains of the Richardson house. Inside, she finds the place completely overtaken by plant growth, along with the decomposing remains of Mrs. Richardson. Water stains on the walls suggest the house has been slowly flooding for years. Just as she locates the medicine and prepares to head back, the rain starts up outside, and creatures begin entering the house around her. Forced to move carefully, she sneaks toward the basement, which is already taking on water. A sudden, horrifying face nearly stops her heart, but it's only Mr. Richardson's decaying body, not a living threat. Her scream, unfortunately, alerts the actual creatures nearby, forcing her to move fast. She dives into the flooded sewer, swimming desperately toward the pipe home, but a creature catches up to her anyway. In panic, she fires Jason's gun at it point blank. The bullets do absolutely nothing, and the creature simply disarms her. Back at the house, the family hauls frantically on the silk rope connecting them, finally pulling her through the pipe to safety. Jason quickly smashes the surrounding wall, sending debris crashing down to block the tunnel behind her just as the pursuing creature reaches it. With the medicine finally in hand, Ruth begins to recover almost immediately. Jason's first instinct is to hide the family in the attic, while he tries to draw the monster's attention elsewhere, certain they now know exactly where the family is hiding. But Graham finally speaks up, declaring he's done simply hiding. This isn't living, he says. It's just prolonged surviving. The family agrees, and for the first time, they commit to standing their ground together instead of running. They spend the following stretch building an elaborate trap, one designed to double as both a weapon and a potential escape route. Then the sky above the house does something none of them have seen before. A strange, glowing, swirling cloud forms overhead, and suddenly water begins flooding in from every direction at once. The chimney, the sinks, the toilet, even the newly broken bathroom pipe. A violent burst from the chimney knocks Jason backward. As a wave crashes down the staircase, Jason shoves Ruth clear just in time, but Graham gets swept away by the current. With the house now filling rapidly, one of the creatures uses the flooding to move faster than ever, swimming straight into the home. Jason, refusing to back down, throws a makeshift explosive at it, setting it ablaze, but the creature simply dives underwater to extinguish itself before its tentacles seize him. He fires a harpoon and misses, and the creature slams him around before hurling him into the rising water. Anne swims frantically to pull her husband to safety, and the family briefly reunites on the stairs. With water levels rising dangerously fast, they know they have to reach the attic, but Graham insists on retrieving the harpoon first. Diving back into the submerged kitchen, he grabs it just as he hears the creature closing in, forcing him to hide underwater and hold his breath. Just in time, the rest of the family breaks through the ceiling above him and hauls him to safety before the creature can reach him. Its tentacles punch through the floor moments later, and Jason fights them off with a hammer long enough for everyone to scramble into the attic. But the water follows them even there. Cornered, with nowhere left to run, the family holds their breath together and clings to one another as the creature finally locates them. In their last chance, they fire the harpoon, and this time it lands, sinking deep into the creature's body. The other end of the rope is tied to Jason's car, which triggers automatically the moment the harpoon connects. As the vehicle drags the creature away, the sheer force widens the structural cracks throughout the house, and the rising floodwater begins draining out through them. As the water recedes, it drags the family down along with it. They rush the front door one more time, and it still refuses to open. The wounded creature, now tangled on the staircase railing, is at their mercy. Jason grabs a knife and threatens to kill it unless it lets them go. Ruth stops him, pleading that killing it will guarantee they never make it out alive. Jason relents, cutting the rope instead of the creature, and drops the knife. In response, the creature finally opens the door. After 5 long years trapped inside their own home, the family finally steps outside, only to find themselves completely surrounded by more creatures. Just as it looks like they're about to be attacked, the one creature that's shown kindness throughout the film, the same friendly one Ruth always insisted was different, steps in and holds the others back, allowing the family to escape together. Behind them, the house they called home for 5 brutal years finally gives way, collapsing into the earth and leaving nothing but a massive crater where it once stood. And then, for the first time in years, the sun breaks through the clouds. The family watches from a truck as the creature that saved them slips back beneath the waves, returning to the ocean it came from. Spotting their neighbor's old boat still intact nearby, the family climbs aboard and sets off, unsure of what's left of the world beyond their street. Just as they push away from the ruins of their old life, a voice crackles through on the radio, another survivor, somewhere out there, reaching out. And that's where the movie leaves us. 5 years of horror, grief, and survival, ending not with total triumph, but with the smallest, most fragile flicker of hope. They're not the only ones left. Honestly, if you made it this far, you already know this story hit different. A family locked inside their own home for 5 years, fighting starvation, monsters, and each other just to survive. That's the kind of story that stays with you. If this breakdown helped you understand the movie better, don't be that person who watches, nods, and scrolls away without hitting subscribe. Creators like us only keep making these deep dives because people like you show up for them. So do us a solid, subscribe, hit the bell, and drop a comment telling us what you would have done differently if you were trapped in that house. Would you have kept the dog's body? Would you have trusted the nice creature? Let us know down below. We read every single one. See you in the next explainer.